on there?
I got actually a cover up done a couple weeks ago. It's kind of hard because it like wraps around, but it's an elk head with a flower. My name's John Swanke, and I've been at Brist since September 2020. And I am currently in the screen tech role. So I basically live in the dark room for most, 10 hours a day, every day during the week. And I burn all the screens for printing. I set up all the screens and get them ready to go on the presses. And I clean screens and reclaim them. Basically, it's a big feedback loop. There's just a giant circle. They go on the press, they get printed, they get cleaned, they get reburned, and it just starts all over again. So I'm constantly cleaning and coating and setting up screens, and then mixing a lot of our stock inks and Pantone inks. So whenever there's a new color that comes up for a job, checking the Pantone book and going through the formulas and mixing all those Pantone colors and getting them right for all the jobs and ready to be put on a garment. Of course, I help out. I assist the press operators or work at the end of the dryer, catching the shirts and boxing and shipping. I kind of, when time allows, I get out of the dark room once in a while and help out on the floor when I can or whenever I'm needed.
The two like aspects of Brisk that have always been of high interest to me since the beginning is like design and screen printing. Like those are the two most like tactile, I feel like, components of the company.
Mm-hmm.
And I know close to nothing about screen printing other than it's like it comes down to like being quite a science.
It's a lot of, like you said, kind of like a science, a lot of experimenting and trial and error and figuring out what works, and then going with that. I came into Brist with limited screen printing experience. I've never used any of these giant presses, these automatic presses in these huge machines before. I did all manual screen printing. And it was really less of a science and more of just creative problem solving and tinkering and kind of backwoods DIY, just trying to figure things out. Like we had like a makeshift dark room that was a bathroom, and like our exposure unit was just like a picnic table and a sheet of glass with like some chicken lights. I mean, very, very low tech compared to here. So it's been a trip to come in and learn things from a professional level and, kind of more industry standard, more or less, and how things should be done.
I didn't know that's how you pronounce your name. So
My entire life, it has been a train wreck of just like, yeah, that's fine, whatever, like close enough.
Monkey. That's cool, man. It's like if there was a large beautiful bird leaving a pond and it had like a key. It's like a
Exactly.
yeah.
It's funny because all my life growing up, that's how I would tell people how to pronounce it. It's like a swan and a key. Exactly.
And it's pretty much spelled like that, so they should know.
Yeah, just no. Yeah, there's no Y at the end, but yeah.
So yeah, John, let's dive into like you and like some sort of tale that you feel is quintessential to who you are, whether it relates to your path that led you to Brist or not. Like, what is it about John that makes you John Swanke?
I've done a lot of things before landing at Brist, and I'm glad that I found this company. I guess I'll just go back 10 years ago. I graduated from Western with a degree in English creative writing. Upon leaving Western, I was trying to figure out anything I could do that would keep me from moving back in with my parents. And I answered a Craigslist ad for a job in Ketchikan, Alaska, for running a retail gift shop. And I thought, sure, why not? Like my grandpa lived in Juneau when I was growing up, so I'd been up to Alaska a lot to visit him. And I thought that'd be a cool place to hang out for a summer. And I got a job as a manager for a really big tourist trap gift shop. Was spent 6 or 7 months up there working and fell in love, and then started going to some other cities in Southeast Alaska to work seasonally. I would go up there like every February or March, more or less, and stay through October and set up retail operations in the warehouse and then do all the fun day-to-day retail management for the tourist season. Worked really hard, but played really hard. And I mean, there's so many hiking trails and great places to be just right outside our door. So a lot of camping and fishing and outdoor adventures, and then a lot of work, and really developed kind of a creative passion up there for music and photography and some other things. And I play instrumental guitar music, a lot of finger picking, kind of experimental folk stuff, very, very heavy on just 6 strings and a lot of delay and reverb and kind of folk stylings with a modern, more noise music approach, I guess. And I played a lot of bars and little shows and things up there. Eventually, in an off season down here in the wintertime, I ended up meeting my wife, who's from Bellingham, and we both did a few different things. I ended up working on a marketing team for a company down in Arizona for a while, and I hosted and produced a weekly podcast for them, and that kind of furthered my love for audio production and music and stuff. So I got to flex that creative muscle a little bit, as well as doing some kind of social media stuff for them. But it was in Arizona, and that's like not where my heart is. It was just like way too hot and dry, and I was miserable. And my wife was working in Colorado at the time, and her seasonal job was coming to an end. And we decided to go back up to Alaska, and we did that for a few more years. And then just kind of got tired of moving and living out of suitcases every 6 months. So wound up back in Bellingham and did a few things, and always kind of like screen printed on the side as a little side hustle. And then found that Brist had an opening, and yeah, I got my foot in the door, and now here I am.
Right on, man. Dude, experimental folk. That's definitely, if anything, that's definitely a testament to the fact that we're in 2021. Is
Yeah.
when experimental guitar work and folk can intersect, we are in the future. I would love to hear your music, dude. I'm also a guitar player, and I feel like maybe some of what I'm doing could be categorized as experimental folk.
Yeah, I've run a Bandcamp page for myself like since Bandcamp first started, and I've always just kind of done random little music projects here and there, and I've used a million different band names that I've since abandoned. And a good friend of mine and I right now are actually in the beginning stages of starting a record label. We're making a kind of a home-baked recording tape label. So I've just been investing in a lot of tape recording gear and cassette gear, and we're hoping by the end of the summer to have our first release. The label's called Rain Country Music. It's definitely the whole idea of the label is to kind of celebrate like the weird experimental music of the Pacific Northwest. We're not like trying to push ourselves into like a genre or like a certain, we're not putting any limitations. It's kind of like, I have a lot of friends that make music, and they have friends that make music, and it's just kind of like trying to lift each other up and promote everyone's stuff, and hopefully get some cool tapes out there. And obviously we're going to do, digital downloads and that kind of stuff. And then maybe when we actually have some more funds, we'll think about trying to press a record or something, but that's so expensive. But like I said, it's still, and it's like, I don't even want to say in the infancy stage. It's still like an embryo. Like I'm still refining processes and getting my tapes to sound good, but like we've got the recording and stuff down, but now it's just kind of mastering and mass producing these things and then finding an audience, hopefully.
That's sweet, man. What's a good place that I can check out to hear your stuff, whether it's Rain Country or some of your other?
Sure. I have some I don't have a whole lot of stuff up online that I'm like super proud of at the moment, but if you look up just my name at .bandcamp.com, just John Swanke .bandcamp, there's a couple tracks up there. Um, and then I also used to run under the moniker of Swamp Dog, just SWAMPDOG. And there's a couple like really rough, like lo-fi. There's like a collage album on there called Catch that I made in my bedroom when I was living in Ketchikan. And I literally had like a real basic interface and like some portable cassette recorders. And I would like go out like into the woods with my guitar and harmonicas and like record a lot of sessions out on the trail and like forest noises and sticks and water and make all these samples from natural elements. And I'd have friends that would call and leave me spoken word on voicemail or even like play their guitar to their phone. So it was like really lo-fi, a lot of sampling, but everything like played by me or a human. Like there was nothing really computer generated other than maybe like some delay effects and things like that. But yeah, all like very heavily processed and sampled like acoustic music and field recordings.
That's cool, man. It's like collaging with samples, pretty much.
Exactly. Yeah.
Alaska is just big, dude. Like the views are big, the mountains are big, the animals are big. It's
Yeah.
just like such a wild place, and I can only imagine how like creativity around music could really like run free out there. So I'm stoked to check out some of your stuff. I pulled up some of the links. So you mentioned that you were doing screen printing as kind of a side hustle, which that's definitely like emphasis on the hustle because like from what I know, like screen printing is no easy like just like for me, right with graphic design, I can flip open a computer and like just kind of tinker away on my computer, but screen printing like takes quite a bit of like extra effort. So like how did you get into that and having kind of like access to what you were saying was like kind of a more professional setting?
Sure. So it goes like way back to when I was in high school, and just taking high school elective classes. I think I maxed out the amount of times they were allowing you to take VisCom, visual communications classes, because I loved doing all that stuff, like getting to learn how to do like graphic design, and we had photography, we had a dark room, we did like 35 millimeter film, which like I love doing film. I shoot 35 millimeter and 120 millimeter, and we had like a basic screen print setup in there too. And so in high school, like everybody I knew had garage bands and punk bands. So it was like, oh, we want to make a poster or we want to make a shirt. And it was like taking VisCom was like a way to like pump out all of this like DIY merch and stuff for like my bands and my friends' bands. Definitely like a big like in garage rock like scene in like Auburn, Tacoma area when I was growing up in high school. So that's when I like first got exposed to screen printing was in high school. And then honestly, when I left to go to college, I didn't do it for a long time. I had a friend who was working on the side at a print shop in Bellingham and working for Northwest Design. My friend ended up getting married and moving away, and the guy that he was working for was like, "Oh, I need someone to print my stuff for me," and mentioned, "Oh, my friend John has a little bit of a background in it," and I had kind of a flexible work schedule, so I'd go in there like once a week and or whenever I could and help him get his orders filled. And it was a lot of just like two color, one color, just really basic printing. It wasn't very like creative or fun. It wasn't anything cool. He was printing for these kind of like industrial companies that make, I mean, without getting into too much detail about it, we were like printing just like logos on bags and a lot of different like fabric that would get sewn into different things for this company. And it was very like industrial stuff. So it wasn't really like, I wasn't very passionate about it, I guess, but it was income and it was like screen printing and it was still like learning a skill and like, keeping that sharp and knowing how to do kind of like the basic process of it. And then after doing that for a while, I was like, man, I really want to like do this in a more professional capacity. And yeah, I just answered a Brist ad and got lucky.
So in the time that you've been at Brist, has there been any like standout projects that you've been really excited about or things that you've been like, wow, we like really nailed that one?
I really love like all the stuff we've been doing for Fly Lords. I fish, and I just think that that's a cool company, and their art is like amazing. Like we've made some killer designs for them, and they come out looking so clean. I've also been really stoked to see us doing stuff for like Elysian Brewing in Seattle and KEXP, because I mean I grew up listening to KEXP, so we did that collab with KEXP and Cafe Vita, which was really cool. I had the Space Needle and the record player on it, and it's kind of like that half-tone black design. And I'm a big record collector, and I have a huge vinyl collection, and so that was like really cool to like print for some of these companies that like, you know, I've been like a huge fanboy for like years and years. And yeah, so a lot of that stuff I've been really like proud to be involved in.
Such a true fact. Like Brist works with like such wild clients these days, and as the company grows, we get to do more and more cool stuff. And I think that as the company grows, that'll only continue.
I'm just passionate about learning screen printing and wanting to master that and adding that to my set of skills. So I'm grateful to work somewhere that I'm actually like learning stuff every day, you know, and kind of improving my toolbox basically. And also working for a company that allows me 3-day weekends to work on my passion projects, do my weird music, and, you know, go on fishing trips and hiking trips and things. And there's a lot of active outdoor people here. There's a lot of musicians here and a lot of creative people. So it's just like, it's a great environment for finding inspiration, and just like an all around rad place to work.
Oh, we're gonna leave those behind too. All right, John Swanke here, gonna tell me how Rainier beer saved your life.
Well, I was living in Ketchikan, Alaska, and it was my second week living there. And a guy broke into our house who was looking for the previous tenants.
Wow.
And held me and my roommate at knife point, like hostage knife point.
In Ketchikan, Alaska.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's for several hours, and realized he was in the wrong place. He asked over and over again if we had any money or drugs or booze or this and that. And after like 2 hours, he kind of clicked that he was like, oh, I'm not in the right house.
Barking up the wrong tree.
Yeah.
Well, wait, it was the right house with the wrong people.
It was the right house with the wrong people, yeah, because the original owner sold it to the woman I was renting from just bought it.
Okay. Yeah. So then what happened? You're there with this guy.
I'm there with this guy, and he's like asking us to get in the bathtub and like asking us to like do all this weird shit. And
well, because he was also expecting to find the people. So at this point, he had gone far enough where he thought that maybe he could use you as leverage to get in touch with them.
He was like ex-military. He was discharged from the Marines.
Okay.
And he just had a lot of kind of crazy ideas. I don't even know like what I don't even know what his motivation was.
So you don't even know what he was trying to get from the prior tenants.
No, I don't know. It was fucking wild. He just like knocked on my bedroom door, and I'm like half asleep, and he's like, "Hey, get out here!" And I see the guy with a knife, and I'm like, "Oh, whoa! I should not open this door. I should fucking."
But he got in.
He got into the house.
Yeah.
He ransacked the house. He tore up our closets. He was looking for drugs. He was looking for booze.
Do you know his name?
It was Michael. Oh shit, I don't even remember his last name. It was Michael something. But I got letters from him from jail, like for several years. I have them. I can show you them to you. And I got flown out to Ketchikan to go to court because we testified against him and kept him in prison for a while. And there was some crazy shit that went down. Like it was